Welcome back to the deep dive.
Great to be here.
We spend so much time learning how to manage failure, don't we?
Absolutely. Bouncing back, staying motivated, it's key.
But even when we get good at handling setbacks, there's this other thing, this hidden enemy.
An invisible one.
Yeah, exactly. It just quietly drains our energy, messes with motivation.
And can make you pretty unhappy, even when things are technically okay.
That's it. And that enemy, it's really simple. Comparison, just constantly looking at others.
Ah, the comparison game. It's a classic human tendency.
It really is. So today's deep dive, we're looking for the antidote, the psychological formula, maybe, to beat this thing.
Okay, so shifting the focus.
Exactly. Moving away from competing with everyone else to competing with, well, yourself.
Being better than you were yesterday, essentially.
That's the mission. Be superior to your yesterday's self, not anyone else.
It sounds simple, but it's a profound shift.
It is, because comparison feels so baked in, you know?
Oh, completely. We look at careers, relationships,
Social media feeds. Those perfect, curated moments.
the top 1% moments, yeah. While we're living our normal, sometimes messy reality.
And that external rivalry, it just makes us feel like we're constantly falling short, never quite good enough.
It's a recipe for feeling inadequate, for sure.
So the big questions for you listening in are, why does this comparison thing, like Leon Festinger's theory talks about, often make us feel so miserable now?
Especially in the modern world, right?
Yeah, and how do we actually do it? How do we shift from looking out there to looking in here?
Making the competition internal.
Right, and crucially, what are the actual steps, the psychological moves we need to make to consistently, beat our former selves?
Practical application. Okay.
Okay, let's get into it, because first we really need to understand this comparison trap we all fall into.
Definitely. And it's important to start by saying comparing isn't just some moral failing or weakness.
Oh, yeah.
It feels like it sometimes.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but it's deeper. It's actually a fundamental brain mechanism. Leon Festinger, way back in 1954, he figured this out.
Social comparison theory, right.
Exactly. His idea was pretty simple. When we don't have clear, objective ways to measure ourselves, our skills, our opinions, how we're doing,
We look around.
we instinctively look to others. It's how we get our bearings, how we figure out where we stand. We need those reference points.
Okay, so the mechanism itself isn't the problem.
Not inherently. The problem is the environment we're using it in today. That natural drive has gotten twisted
Twisted how?
into something kind of toxic, unsustainable.
Right.
We really do two kinds of comparison, and honestly, neither one really leads to lasting well-being.
Okay, let's break those down. Let's start with the one that sounds, well, the most obviously painful, upward comparison.
Right, upward. That's when you compare yourself to people you see as better off, more successful, richer, more talented.
The people who seem to have it all figured out in the area you care about.
Exactly. And psychologically, this is pretty much a guarantee of unhappiness.
A guarantee. That sounds strong.
It is, but it's what the research suggests. It's a reproducible finding. If you constantly measure yourself against someone who seems miles ahead,
You're going to feel bad.
you generate predictable negative emotions, feeling inadequate, envy, that sharp pang of envy, and just chronic anxiety, worrying you'll never get there.
And social media just pours gasoline on this fire, doesn't it?
Oh, exponentially.
Yeah.
It's amplified beyond anything Festinger could have imagined. We take our own, raw, unedited life.
The messy kitchen, the bad hair day, the boring Tuesday.
Yeah, all that.
Yeah.
And we pit it directly against someone else's curated highlight reel. Their absolute best moment, maybe even filtered and edited.
It's our average against their peak.
Precisely. You're essentially setting yourself up for this unwinnable fight, an internal feeling of less than.
Okay, so that's the emotional cost. What about the mindset risk?
That's where it gets really insidious. The sources we looked at really stress this. Upward comparison pushes you towards a fixed mindset.
Carol Dweck's work, right. Fix versus growth.
Exactly. When you look at someone way, way ahead, it's just so easy to think, wow, they're a genius, or they've just got natural talent I don't have.
You attribute it to something innate, something they are, not something they did.
Right. I could never be that good.
Hmm.
You see their success as based on a fixed, unchangeable quality.
And if you believe ability is fixed and you don't have that ability,
Then why even bother trying so hard? The fixed mindset assumes ability is static.
Yeah.
If you think you lack it, failure becomes terrifying.
because failing would just confirm your lack of talent.
Exactly. It feels like proof you're deficient.
Yeah.
So psychologically, the safest path feels like, well, not trying too hard, stagnation.
Or worse.
Or worse,
Yeah.
you shift your goal. This leads to that ultimate behavioral outcome mentioned in the source. Ostentation. Showing off. Gösterungskunde.
Ah, okay. So if you can't be the best, you focus on looking the
You
best.
got it. The goal slides away from genuine internal skill building, from mastery, towards simply appearing better than others. Managing your image becomes paramount.
That sounds exhausting.
It is exhausting. It's a huge tragedy of energy. Think about it. Every decision, every email, what you wear, what you post, it all gets filtered through. How will this look? Will people be impressed?
You're spending all your energy on stuff you can't even control.
Exactly. Other people's opinions,
Hmm.
which are fickle and uncontrollable. Real mastery, the internal kind, is solid. It's robust. Ostentation is fragile, totally dependent on the crowd's approval.
Okay, so upward comparison, misery, and maybe showing off. What about the other one? Downward comparison. Comparing yourself to people, worse off.
Right. Looking at people you perceive as being in less fortunate circumstances.
Surely that gives you a boost. Makes you feel better about your own situation.
It does, temporarily. It's like a quick sugar rush for your self-esteem. You get that immediate, short-term hit of confidence.
Well, at least I'm not dealing with that.
Exactly. A little bit of relief, maybe some satisfaction. I'm not doing so bad after all.
So if it provides a boost, why is it still a trap? What's the catch?
The catch is the fragility. That confidence isn't real, deep confidence. It's what we call false confidence,
False how?
because it completely depends on someone else's negative situation. It's not generated from your skills or efforts. It's borrowed.
Borrowed from their lack of success.
Precisely. So what happens if those people you're comparing down to suddenly improve? If their situation gets better?
Your confidence evaporates.
Instantly.
Mm-hmm.
Because its foundation wasn't internal. It was external and negative. It wasn't about you being good. It was about them being worse.
Wow. That's not really confidence at all, is it? It's more like reassurance based on external factors.
That's a great way to put it. And here's the crucial point. The ultimate price, the real cost of both upward and downward comparison is the same.
Which is?
A massive drain on your resources, your mental energy, your focus, your attention.
Because you're always looking outward.
Always. Either looking up wishing you were better or looking down feeling relieved you're not worse. You're spending precious energy on variables other people that you fundamentally cannot control.
And while you're doing that.
You're not doing the one thing that actually matters for growth. You're not spending even 1 second thinking about how to improve your own actions, your own skills, your own character based on where you were yesterday.
So you just stagnate.
You're condemned to stagnate. It doesn't matter how fast or slow anyone else is moving. If your focus is external, you become passive. A spectator to your own life, letting external benchmarks dictate your mood and your sense of self-worth.
Okay, that distinction, passive spectator versus active participant in your own growth, that feels like the real turning point, the aha moment.
It is. It suggests the only way out of this cycle is to completely change the game.
Change the playing field.
Exactly. Move away from external rivalry, from comparing outwards towards this goal of internal mastery.
Okay, internal mastery, how do we get there? Where's the roadmap?
Well, the psychology of motivation actually gives us a pretty clear one.
Yeah.
We can look at Deci and Ryan's self-determination theory, or SDT.
Right, SDT. That helps explain what really drives us long-term, doesn't it?
It does. SDT makes a really useful distinction between different kinds of motivation. First, there's external motivation,
Okay, driven by.
driven by things outside the task itself. Status, rewards, money, praise, avoiding punishment.
The typical carrots and sticks.
Pretty much. And this is the breeding ground for comparison and ostentation, right?
Yeah.
If you're only motivated by the bonus, you're always checking if yours is bigger than the next person's.
And the sources said this kind of motivation is unsustainable.
Inherently unsustainable, because the effort dries up as soon as the external reward is gone, or once you've achieved it. There's no inner drive keeping you going.
Okay, so what's the alternative?
The alternative is internal motivation, sometimes called autonomous motivation.
And this is driven by?
By finding the activity itself enjoyable, meaningful, engaging, finding satisfaction in the process. The drive comes from within.
Like curiosity or the desire to get better at something for its own sake.
Exactly. The desire for mastery, for competence, for growth sits right at the core of internal motivation.
So connecting this back, that goal of being superior to your yesterday self.
That is the psychological definition of pursuing internal mastery through internal motivation. You're shifting the goalposts entirely.
Away from being the best in the world or beating everyone else.
For simply being better than I was. The focus becomes consistent development, not absolute external superiority.
And you mentioned this saves us from something, success addiction.
Ah, yes, that's a really important point. Success addiction is a dangerous trap, especially for high achievers.
How does that work?
Your brain gets wired to only release that rewarding dopamine hit for massive external wins. The huge promotion, closing the biggest deal, getting public acclaim.
Okay. So you need bigger and bigger external validation hits.
Exactly. And if you don't hit those huge external benchmarks, if you have a quiet period or face a setback, the whole system crashes. You feel empty, demotivated.
Because the reward mechanism is tied only to the big external stuff.
Right. But when your focus shifts to internal mastery, to beating yesterday's Gimpy, the reward system gets rewired.
How so?
The dopamine, the satisfaction, it gets linked to the process, to the small act of improvement itself.
Not the size of the win, but the fact that you did improve.
Precisely. You get rewarded psychologically for that tiny act of overcoming your former self's limitations or laziness. And that allows you to keep going, to sustain effort, even when big external successes are far off or slow to come.
That makes so much sense. It makes motivation more resilient.
It's more resilient. Okay, so that leads to the next logical question, right?
Right.
Why? Why is my former self, the me of yesterday, such a powerful reference point?
Yeah, why obsess over what I did 24 hours ago instead of, say, studying the market leader?
Because your former self is the only benchmark that is perfectly calibrated to you. It's composed entirely of variables you actually have some control over.
Unlike someone else's starting point or luck or connections.
Exactly. You can't control their genetics, their background, who they know.
Right.
But your past performance, your past habits, your past knowledge, that's your data.
It's a baseline built from my own reality.
Perfectly put. And because it's your baseline, it allows for realistic, measurable, and truly achievable goal setting.
So instead of saying, I need to be CEO like the person,
You say, okay, yesterday I procrastinated for an hour before starting that report. Today, can I start it after 50 minutes? Or yesterday I ran for 10 minutes. Today, can I run for 10 minutes and 30 seconds?
that feels doable, manageable, less terrifying.
It's empowering. That small, specific increment based on your immediate past is within reach. It fuels belief rather than highlighting a massive gap.
And I think maybe the biggest practical win here is how this internal focus changes how we deal with failure, which, let's be honest, happens to everyone.
Absolutely critical point. Failure is inevitable on any meaningful path. Let's take a work scenario, say a project doesn't go as planned.
Okay? Big mistake, maybe lost a client.
Right. Now, if your focus is external, comparing yourself upward,
The fixed mindset kicks in.
immediately. Oh, Sarah in the other department, she would never have let this happen. Or the CEO of our competitor is flawless. You internalize it.
This proves I'm just not cut out for this.
Exactly. Failure becomes evidence of your fundamental inadequacy. But if your focus is internal, if you've been practicing competing against your past self,
You have a different comparison point.
you have your own history as the benchmark. You can look back and say, okay, damn, this hurts. This was a stumble.
Ugh.
But wait, last time I faced a setback this big, maybe 6 months ago, I spiraled for a week. I couldn't even think straight. This time.
This time I felt awful for a day, but by day 2, I was already thinking about what went wrong and what I can do differently.
Precisely. I started brainstorming corrective actions in 48 hours, not 2 weeks.
The rebound is faster, the learning loop is tighter.
Yes. The speed of recovery, relative to your past recoveries, becomes the metric. And noticing that improvement actively strengthens the growth mindset.
So failure shifts from being a verdict.
To being a data point, a quantifiable speed bump. It confirms your capacity to learn and adapt is improving, even if the outcome wasn't perfect this time.
You measure success by the shrinking recovery time, not the absence of bumps.
Beautifully said. And this consistent improvement, this breaking of your own small records, it triggers a really important psychological reward.
Okay, what's that?
It's not just about feeling vaguely good. It's about biologically reinforcing the right patterns through small, consistent wins.
Little dopamine hits for effort, not just outcomes.
Sort of. Think about the contrast again. External goal. My colleague just got a huge raise. I feel terrible.
Yeah.
Internal goal. Okay, today during that 2-hour focus block, I checked my phone one less time than yesterday.
Tiny difference, almost insignificant externally.
Externally, yes, but internally, that's a win. That's 1% better focus. It's verifiable by you right now. It doesn't need external validation.
No boss's praise needed, no likes required.
None. And that immediate, internal, verifiable win provides your brain with something incredibly powerful, something more lasting than external approval. It provides the feeling of self-efficacy.
Self-efficacy. Okay, I know that term from Albert Bandura, right? But how is it different from just self-esteem, feeling good about yourself?
Good question. They often get confused. Self-esteem is more global,
Mm,
a general sense of your overall self-worth. I am a good person, or I like myself.
okay. And self-efficacy.
Self-efficacy is much more specific. It's the belief in your capability to execute the actions needed to succeed in specific situations. It's the belief I can do this particular thing.
Like, I have the skills to finish this difficult report, or
Right.
I'm capable of sticking to my workout plan today.
Exactly. It's task-specific confidence in your ability to execute. So when you achieve that tiny 1% improvement, focusing longer, running further, reacting calmer,
You're not just getting a fleeting mood boost.
you are actively gathering concrete evidence that strengthens your belief system. You're proving to yourself daily, I am effective, I can improve, I can execute. You're building a portfolio of proof.
Precisely. And that foundation of self-efficacy makes you incredibly resilient. When things get tough externally, your belief in your own capability to act and adapt remains solid because it's built from within, brick by tiny brick.
This really sounds like James Clear's atomic habits idea, the compound effect, but applied to our internal state.
It's very much aligned. Those tiny 1% daily wins, they seem small in isolation, but they compound.
Clear's famous calculation. 1% better each day for a year makes you.
37 times better. That exponential growth is the staggering power hidden within consistent internal competition.
But you only unlock that power if you stop leaking energy on external comparison.
You have to reclaim that 1%. Stop spending it looking sideways and reinvest it looking inwards at your own progress.
Okay, so we understand the why and the what. Let's get really practical. How do we operationalize this? If we want to write this better life script focused internally, what's the daily practice, right? The how. If you're serious about cultivating internal mastery, you need a daily ritual, a system to consistently filter the noise and refocus.
Like a mental workout routine.
Exactly. And the first part is installing what our sources call the comparison filter. It's a simple psychological trigger.
Okay, how does it work?
Whenever you feel that pull, you open LinkedIn, you see a friend's amazing vacation pics, you hear about a colleague's success.
The comparison urge kicks in.
As soon as you notice it, you have to consciously pause, stop the automatic reaction, and ask yourself one direct question.
Which is?
Will digging into this information actually help me become better than my yesterday's self?
Be honest about the utility.
Brutally honest. Is there a specific lesson here I can apply? A concrete strategy I can adapt? Or is this just going to trigger envy, inadequacy, or distraction?
And I suspect most of the time the honest answer is.
It's no. Most external comparison data is just noise when it comes to your specific path of improvement. Recognizing the impulse and applying that filter, is this useful for my 1% gain today, is step one. You stop wasting brain power on uncontrollable stuff.
Okay, filter the noise. What's next? We need something proactive.
Yes, that's the daily feedback loop. This happens at the end of your day. Instead of scrolling through feeds to see what everyone else did.
You review your own performance against your past self.
Using two specific questions. The first one is, what mistake of my yesterday's self did I correct, or at least improve upon today?
Okay, focusing on mistake correction. Why that framing?
It reframes mistakes beautifully. They're not failures of character. They're simply operational errors. Data points needing adjustment.
Like debugging code.
Exactly. So you think, what did yesterday's me mess up? Did I procrastinate on that call? Did I react defensively to feedback? Did I skip my morning walk?
And then you look for today's correction.
Yes. Did I make the call 10 minutes sooner? Did I pause and take a breath before responding to that critique? Did I at least put my walking shoes on, even if I didn't go far? You identify a specific past behavior and acknowledge the concrete action, however small, you took today to counteract it.
That feels constructive. What's the second question in the loop?
The second question shifts to positive progress. In which specific area did I show at least 1% improvement today?
And the key is specific, right? Not just, I felt better.
Absolutely specific and ideally behavioral. It could be quantitative. I read 5 more pages than yesterday. I held my focus for 2 minutes longer. I did 1 extra rep at the gym.
Or qualitative.
Sure. I actively listened without interrupting for that whole conversation. I chose water instead of soda. I managed my frustration slightly better during that traffic jam. It has to be a tangible difference you notice compared to yesterday.
Again, these are small, almost trivially small sometimes.
But they're always achievable. You can always find something. And they are tied to your input, your effort, not some uncontrollable external outcome,
Which means you always have a reason to feel, well, successful on some level each day.
which leads directly to the final crucial piece of the ritual, the power of small celebrations.
Celebrating these tiny 1% wins seems a bit much.
It's essential. It's not about throwing a party. It's about acknowledging the win internally. A mental pat on the back. A moment of conscious recognition. Yes, I did that. Better than yesterday.
Why is that tiny celebration so important?
Because, as the source material points out, it's how you nourish your self-fulfilling prophecy. Your brain reinforces what gets rewarded.
Okay. If I only reward the huge, rare external wins.
Your brain stays waiting for those big hits and motivation sags in between.
Yeah.
But if you consciously acknowledge and feel good about the daily 1% improvement,
You're rewarding the process, the consistency.
exactly, you're rewarding the identity you want to build, the identity of someone who shows up, puts in the effort, and consistently improves. You are cementing the belief. I'm the kind of person who gets 1% better every day.
That identity reinforcement feels much more powerful than just hoping for external praise.
Exponentially more powerful. It internalizes the engine of progress. It makes growth automatic, habitual.
So the big takeaway here feels like we need to take back control of our own definition of success. Stop outsourcing it.
That's it, exactly.
Yeah.
Someone else's race is simply not your route. Judging your speed by looking at their dashboard is nonsensical.
Your only valid comparison is historical and personal.
Your true potential, your real capability, can only be measured against your own past performance. If you need a rival, look no further than the inertia of yesterday.
The laziness, the procrastination, the fear, the lack of focus from yesterday's version of me.
That is your primary competitor. That's the real enemy holding you back. Your mission is to defeat that version of you every single day by just that little 1%.
Wow. That's a really powerful reframe for thinking about growth and ambition.
It aims for sustainable, resilient growth.
Okay, so for everyone listening, here's the challenge for this week based on everything we've discussed.
Let's hear it.
Really try to consciously pull your gaze inward, away from the constant stream of external comparisons.
Catch yourself when the impulse strikes.
Exactly. And when you feel it, apply that filter. Does this information help me beat my yesterday's self? Be honest.
Discard the noise.
And focus that saved energy entirely on your internal development. Become your own biggest cheerleader, yes, but also your most rigorous, fair competitor.
Hunt for that 1% improvement. Actively look for it.
And when you find it and you will acknowledge it, celebrate that small win internally. Give yourself credit for the effort.
Build that self-efficacy brick by brick.
And we want to leave you with one final thought to chew on, something that really builds on this idea of compounding.
Okay.
We talked about James Clear's point. Being 1% better daily leads to being 37 times better in a year. That's the power of positive compounding.
Right, the upside.
So flip it. What's the compounding cost of spending just 1% of your focus, your energy, your time? Comparing yourself negatively to someone else, day after day.
What does that 1% daily drain compounded over a year actually cost you in terms of lost progress, lost peace of mind, lost potential?
What's the final bill for that seemingly small daily habit of looking sideways instead of forward?
That's definitely something worth reflecting on.
We'll let you mull that over. We'll be back next week with another deep dive into the psychology of performance and well-being.
Looking forward to it.
Until then, focus on your race. Stay 1% better every day.